A good one there, a good one there. Hello, good afternoon, good evening, and good morning, wherever you're watching me from. This is Uncle Charlie on Money Moves. The last episode, I was talking about debt, how to pull yourself out of debt. You see, there's a one good point that I want to leave you with on that debt before I come to this week's topic. Debt in itself is not the end of your business. What will be the end of your business is your silence and your inaction. So debt in itself is not the end of your business. What will end your business is your silence and your inaction. You just have to engage always. Anytime you're in debt, just remember this. This week's topic is really on our building our credit worthiness. Credit worthiness. You may be working with some people and they always get credit from suppliers. You don't get. How do you build your credit worthiness? Because it's key. I've worked and interacted with a lot of businesses across Ghana. Both traders who import and traders who buy locally and deal with distributors. One of the things that's happened is that instead of asking a distributor who supply you goods or a big supplier abroad who gives you goods and takes containers because you get discount, and later you find it difficult to service it. It's rather the other way around. You should buy small, pay immediately after you've sold, ask for 2 weeks credit, and within 10 days, you service them. Within 5 days, you go and pay. Don't misapply the funds. As soon as you do that to one supplier, one service provider, and it gets repeated across the board, you are building your credit worthiness. Why am I saying this? People were traveling to China and co. Some up to date build their credit worthiness. So almost every now and then, they get goods from China. They get goods from Thailand. They get goods from some other countries. But others are not getting the goods. Why? Because when they traveled abroad, and this is practical here, and the Chinese companies gave them credit, the Indian companies gave them credit, the Dubai companies gave them credit. When they came, they sold the goods, they didn't service the debt. They didn't. So it was out of frustration that we all saw that the people are buying the goods into Ghana, yet they're not servicing it. What is it there? So you notice that there was influx of Chinese and Indians all coming to Ghana and other African countries to trade because you are not servicing it. So when you are building your credit worthiness, it's key for you because that's a soft asset that you need. People will start with a small amount on credit, and in no time it grows. So building your credit worthiness is the trust, it's a currency for expanding your business. I'd rather you buy small items and then you service it on time. Because in this part of our world, and these days, the way banks are sharing information across the board through the central credit system that we are beginning to compile. If you are not servicing your debt, it picks into the system and it drops your creditworthiness. Sometimes you can hear our cousins abroad telling us, oh, Charlie, I'll spoil my credit too, I'll spoil my credit too. What it means is that few times when the time came to service that debt or speak, they didn't. And therefore, they've lost creditworthiness. And it's something that you shouldn't lose up at all, because that is the only way that helps. One of the advantages that is good when you build your creditworthiness, and take it from me, because you are good at it, they can even reduce the price of goods for you. Even if you are borrowing from the bank, and because you have good credit there, it's not your treasury balance, but it's that ability where you honor your word, you honor your promise. That's where the creditworthiness starts from. So don't have the capacity to say that, oh, when he comes, I'll find some story for the person. Anytime you find a story when a person comes, it reduces your creditworthiness. That means that you are lying. To increase your creditworthiness, I rather will recommend that you call them ahead of time. You place a call to that particular lender, that particular supplier, that particular service provider ahead of time. When you call them ahead of time, they know. So they won't come end of the week as promised, because you have called them. But when you call them, when they rather come to you on the reverse, and then you give them excuse, it reduces that. So one of these days, they'll come in there and say, you promised me last week, you didn't pay. You promised last month, you didn't pay. So totally, and these days, when you're not lucky, they'll end up publishing your name or by way of conversation. Or when they hear somebody is coming to give you credit, say, hey, this guy, me, I don't want to do it too. You lock up your money. The last I supplied him, it took 3 months instead of the normal 3 days before I got my money back. And you are losing your creditworthiness. So the creditworthiness is about trust. It's about honoring your liability as and when they fall due. Where you have crisis, please call them on time. Now, these days, places like GRA, SNIT, and the rest are all building a set of data. Because now they all have something like Porter. And when you don't pay on time, they charge you penalty. So your penalty that GRA is charging you, the penalty that the likes of SNIT are charging you, it is reducing your creditworthiness. Trust me. Because how can your company almost always have a penalty to pay to these institutions? It's because you don't honor it on time. If it's GRA or SNIT, you must always be ahead of time. Do you know that you can even write letters to them? And that your company is in crisis and therefore you are going through restructuring. These are all part of building your creditworthiness. So where you have crisis with all these institutions and even your employees, they have due date of salary and it's also deferred, you have problems. So one of the things that you can also do is keep good financial records, bookkeeping. Because it's the bookkeeping that's a reference point where you don't argue about balances. Because there are some persons that anytime the person comes for his check, there's always argument about what is due him or what is due the company. There's always argument. Oh, do you recall that the day I came here, There were 3 people at the counter, and I came to your office. You even told me that your uncle is here. Who can recall that? There's nothing more powerful than document to that effect. So when you get there, collect receipts if you are paying for it. Even if you don't have receipt and you are sending them, you give them physical cash, send them a text so that they can acknowledge. The text for the amount payment is your evidence of payment. It's all about building your creditworthiness by having bookkeeping records. Relationship with your suppliers. Don't only call them when you owe them. Sometimes you can't even call them. How is business? Everything okay? Out here, we are managing. And I'm sure that I'll pay you when the time is due. You are building your creditworthiness. The time is not due, but you are telling them. Now, another thing that sometimes can affect your creditworthiness. Most people, when you listen to my previous episodes, you notice that we have not been able to separate our personal liabilities from our business liabilities. They are 2 separate things. So by the time the money is due for payment, you go and misapply the money for the business, for your personal things. So if you are not able to separate these 2, you would always have a big challenge, and your creditworthiness will go down. One of the people that also can affect your creditworthiness is that small suppliers and service providers. Sometimes you ignore 1,000, 500. I recall a training that I gave to some company, and I was talking to the employees. It was training for employees. And I was telling them that when in a finance department, when you are a regular person that always writes for loans, there will be cash in the business. But when you write application, it will reject your application and say, we have exceeded, there's no cash flow. Because you don't have creditworthiness, because you've lost it. One person, you borrow last month, next month you borrow again, you pay, you borrow again, you're always having excuses. You think that there's an opportunity there, so you are going to borrow. Please, you are going to weaken your creditworthiness. So the day you need them serious cash for serious things, they will not give you because you've lost it. They think that you are, potential bad debt person, so they won't give you. So you have to have good records. Keep good records at all times. Know how much you owe people at each point in time. When you pay, keep records. Even if it's 100 cedis, 200 cedis, please keep records. Don't argue with the person you are owing. Rather, show them documentation to that effect. So replace your argument with documentation. And I'm sure that you would always sail through because the evidence is that you have the document. If you are creditworthy, you can always negotiate for better terms because they have your records. That shows that you always honor the invoices as when they fall due. Building your credit is not a day's job. You must be consistent about it. You must keep good financial records. You must not argue with any service provider or supplier. Replace it with documentation so they can always confirm. And with that, as SME, you will always sell. And your business will grow and grow and grow. See you at the next podcast. Take good care of your business. Thank you.